I am a board certified clinically practicing genetic counselor, and I'm here to talk to you about how to avoid burnout in your profession. So as a genetic counselor, I see a lot of patients that are going through very difficult times. I specifically work in the prenatal setting. And so this video, of course, is geared toward anybody who is a genetic counseling student or a practicing genetic counselor, but really anybody that's in a healthcare giving profession, because it can take a toll on ourselves and our mental health. And it's really important that we make sure that we are taking care of our well-being so that we can provide for our patients in the best way possible. Let's start off the video by talking about what burnout is. And so this is the definition of burnout. There have been studies that show that burnout is really prevalent in the genetic counseling field and of course in the prenatal specialty as well. So my first tip in order to prevent burnout from happening is really to maintain a work-life balance, which you have heard about. I guarantee you've heard about it. And maintaining a work-life balance can look like different things for different people. So in my profession, I work certain business hours and I make it very well known to all of my patients, all of my clients, these are the hours that I work. Please do not expect a response from me outside of these business hours. So if I work Monday to Friday, 8 to 4, that's very clear to everybody. And another way that I maintain this is that I actually only work the hours that I'm supposed to work. I do not get paid outside of business hours. I do not do any extra labor, not even just for like monetary gains, but also just for myself. I do not have my email on my phone. I think that is one thing that I learned going through genetic counseling school and watching my supervisors who were burnt out. I was looking at what they were doing. They were often staying after hours and working till 5, 6 p.m. in the evening. They were, constantly checking their emails or even giving out their personal phone number to their patients so they could text them or call them at any time of night and day. And that was something that I knew I was not going to do. And so I do not have the email app on my phone at all. I even recently deleted Microsoft Teams as an app on my phone. So that's how me and my colleagues, we communicate throughout the day. We have different schedules in terms of who's on site and who's not on site. And I deleted Microsoft Teams before I went on my honeymoon because I did not want to keep track of what was happening. All of that to say is that I try to have a very specific, clear mindset of these are the hours that I'm at work, I'm going to be doing work. And then outside of that, these are the hours that I'm not working, I'm allowed to live my life, because you are more than just your job. And that's a very important thing. I'm sure there are other strategies that you guys have. If you have other strategies on how you maintain a work-life balance by setting up these boundaries, please comment them down below. Let's all share our knowledge so that we can work towards maintaining a better well-being for all of us. The second tip I have is basically everything that you do in that time that is just dedicated to yourself, that's not the business hour side of things. And so I have a few different strategies that I use to maintain that I'm staying well outside of work so that I can show up to work not 100% because I'm never 100%, but like as close to 100% as I can get. The number one thing that I do in my own time is that I have enough time for myself. And this of course depends on you and your personality. Some people thrive off of being with other people, like my husband, for example. If he's like with his friends or even at work where his job is also very like focused with talking to other people, he comes home really energized, whereas I am the opposite. I feel drained when I go to work. I feel drained after I have social hangouts for the most part, and that's because I am more introverted. I need alone time in order to recharge my battery, and so I try to make sure that I have that throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout my life just in general. And so typically how I set this up is my commute is fairly long, but the days that I do go into work, it takes me about an hour. And so that hour is just dedicated to whatever I want to do. I do not try to exercise productivity in that hour that I have because number one, I'm driving. It's different if you're like on a train or on the subway or the bus or whatever. You have an extra hour to kind of like mindlessly do what you want. But when I'm driving, I listen to music that I want to listen to. Once in a while, on a rare occasion, I will listen to a podcast, but I try not to listen to things that are educational or even audiobooks. I try really hard not to. That's just because I don't really want to think about anything when I'm driving. It's just more so like just to relax myself. And so yeah, I'm listening to music, listening to the radio, things like that. And then when I come back from work, I try to have at least 1 hour where I'm just alone. So I call it like my nap time. Am I napping at that time? I could be, depending on how tired I am. I could just be scrolling on my phone, I could just be resting, I could be reading a book, whatever it is. The minute I come home, I try really hard not to talk to anybody. I have that hour to recharge, and then I'm kind of ready for the evening. And so that's one way that I maintain, that me time throughout the day. I also try going on solo dates, which is a different thing. I like to try to figure out and challenge myself on being comfortable being alone. I will have a whole other video on solo dating, kind of being content with yourself. So if you're interested in checking that out, subscribe to this channel. The other thing that I would really recommend that you value is just having hobbies outside of work. Basically having a life, having a personality outside of work, so that not everything that you are is tied to your profession. You can be very proud of your profession, you can be very excited about your job and passionate about it. You are still a whole entire human being outside of your job itself, right? So hobbies, for example, reading, I mentioned that I am trying to read more and more as time goes on. Obviously having a YouTube, having social media, Instagram, all of that takes up time in my day, and I enjoy creating content, so that's a hobby for me. Exercising, which is also great for your physical well-being, but honestly I think more for your mental well-being, that's a huge thing. All of these things that I enjoy outside of work, where I'm actually not thinking about what I have to do on a regular basis. And then the last thing in terms of how you spend your time outside of work is getting enough sleep. And I have talked about sleep on my channel a lot before, because I value having the correct amount of sleep that your body needs. And it was when I was in my second year of university when I realized that my body needs about 8 to 9 hours of sleep every day. Before that, I was probably never getting that amount. In high school, for sure, I was not getting that amount. And then in university, in first year, adjusting, I was not getting that amount either. And then I realized that, wow, I feel so much better when I have reached my full capacity of having a restful sleep. And so everything in my life essentially changed to ensure that I have the correct amount of sleep. And this last year has been really difficult for me in terms of sleeping, and I've realized it affects every part of my well-being. It affects every part of my performance. In order to have a really restful sleep, you want to make sure that your mind is not stressed, right? If you have a lot of things going on, a lot of things that you're overthinking about, it's going to be really hard for you to fall asleep. Obviously having an environment that you're comfortable in, that your body feels relaxed in. And then also, guys, you need to make sure that you're getting your physical checkups, right, with your doctor. Like, I'm a vegetarian, my B12 levels are always all over the place, usually pretty low. I live in Canada, so my vitamin D is pretty low. I'm a woman, so my iron is pretty low. And so all of these things, you can just fix them by taking supplements, right? And supplements do change how your energy is throughout the day and how you're sleeping and all of that. So make sure you get your routine blood work done. And then the last thing, which I think is super important when you are in a profession that is caring for other people, healing people, listening to people dump things on you, great strong support system, which of course can come from your friends and family and your partner, but I think even more important comes from your colleagues. And these colleagues can be the people that you actually work with, or even networking with other individuals that are in the same profession as you, because they're really going to be the only ones who understand what you're experiencing. And so I feel very lucky that I have a great team that I can always debrief with. No matter what happens throughout my day, I always have somebody that I can go to kind of reflect on what happened, discuss my feelings, so that I'm not taking it home with me. This has been really important for my well-being, because I don't really give myself the opportunity to overthink about something. If I have questions, or even if you're worried about how something went, you're worried about how an appointment went, I can just go and talk to somebody about it right there and then, and they will understand exactly what I'm feeling, because they work in the same field as I am in. So I don't really have to explain to them what it is, and that has really, really helped me. And if you're in grad school as a genetic counseling student, talk to your peers, debrief with them. You can debrief with your supervisors if you're at a rotation, but outside of that, maintain a connection with your classmates or maintain a connection with your colleagues and be able to debrief with them throughout the day, so you're not taking anything home. So those are my main tips and tricks of how I'm practicing avoiding burnout in my profession as a genetic counselor, which, like I said, is a very heavy profession. In my particular field, in my particular specialty, it can be quite a lot. I absolutely love my job. I'm very passionate about what I do. I make a lot of videos about genetic counseling school, how to get in, my life now as a prenatal genetic counselor, but it doesn't mean that it's not a tiring job, and it is tiring. Emotionally it can be, mentally it can be, but I want to make sure that I am taking the steps to enjoy the profession for as long as I can. And there could be a day where I where I say, you know what, this is enough, I am tired, I would like to switch gears a little bit. And the great thing is that there are avenues for me to do that. But at this time, I'm absolutely loving what I do, and I want to build a structure where I'm able to continue to do that. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any other suggestions on videos that I can make, let me know in the comments below, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.